This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones, and this is the best of 2024. Hello, mate. How you doing?
How's it? I love these kind of things. I love these specials when people try to do the best of. I think it's interesting to see what people think is our best of compared to what we think it is.
Yeah. And we certainly want to hear from people. I love that even for a best of, you are on the road again, exhausting what's left of the travel budget.
We're like 4 years, 5 years. We're spending money that's going to come in 2030.
Oh, good Lord. Hopefully the rivers of gold are not too far away. We have got a great selection of our favourite cheers and jeers from throughout the year coming up in just a moment. But this was how we started our weekly episode, wasn't it? And it was great fun each week.
I think it is. Complicating the factors, although we did exhaustive preparation and research for the rest of the show, I always felt like Cheers and Jeers was a surprise, an utter surprise, not only about what my jeer or cheer would be, but which one I was. And it's always easier. It's always easier to jeer unprepared than to cheer. And so my reflection on that is sort of a morality tale. It's harder to be positive. It takes more effort to cheer and praise and things that are worthy of praise. You always find something that irritates you from the weekend. But I think we made a studious effort to not bag on players unless it was something ridiculous. And then we never did the refs that much.
No, we avoided talking about refs as much as we possibly can. So no, it was good fun. It was good fun. Do you have a memory of a standout?
Oh, you're multiplying the thing I just talked about.
Yeah, just to put you on the spot even more.
No, literally, I think I will jeer myself in that I seem like I always failed to know which one it was. And so there were times when I had a thing and I didn't know whether it was a cheer or a jeer. And I would just retrofit it. So whatever you said, oh, you cheer. I go, okay, then I'll jeer. I'll just find a negative side of that. Yeah.
All you had to do was just finish on an upward inflection or a downward inflection. That was it. That was the difference.
That's it. Yeah.
That was all you
Millennial or Gen Z. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it. To kick off the summer break best ofs, it's our favorite cheers and jeers from 2024. Well, I've got a jeers for you, Harry, for spending all that budget straight away. We start the pod the same way we have for a while, but just with a new name this year, Cheers and Jeers. So what is your cheers, or have we had it already?
3 quick cheers. Jack Dempsey and Ben White, superior 8-9 combination. Yeah. Jack Crowley and Jameson Gibson Park, 8-9. I'm looking at 8-9s across the park now. A cheer for Edinburgh.
Ben Earl and Danny Kerr weren't terrible.
No, but Ben Earl's a little bit, well, we'll get into this, our guest, but Ben Earl's a little bit small to me as an 8 at the international level. Like, elusive, but not even that really, quick enough to stop Duhan van der Merwe in the flats, not big enough to just mow over people in the tights. I don't know about that, but yeah, true. A cheer for Edinburgh itself, that stone masterpiece, chiseled humor, cutting wit, very sequential booze. I love this town, Edinburgh. And then my final cheer is from Murrayfield. Duhan van der Merwe, having scored his 3rd try and is carded, and at that very moment in time, simultaneously is awarded the man of the match. He doesn't know that because he's not looking at the big screen. He's doing what Duhan always does. He's disgruntled because he always thinks he should have scored 6 tries, and the tip tackle wasn't that bad. So he's coming off, and the entire stadium of the West Side is standing, rising, and giving him a standing ovation forever, shaking the very roots upon which Murrayfield was built. And he is coming off thinking he just got carded, and everyone is jumping on him. Unbelievable scenes for a guy who keeps doing unnecessary corner scoring flourishes by knocking over the flag for no apparent reason. But this man is on fire.
Any danger he could run around the post once or twice? Did you end up finding the answer to your question? Has anyone ever scored 3 tries and copped a yellow card in the same game?
Well, I'm hoping that our guest today could solve that.
We will put that.
But I doubt. I seriously doubt, because of the vintage of cards
and
the fact that it's difficult to score a hat trick.
Yeah. My jeers for you is also from the Six Nations, and it goes to Italian referee Andrea Piari, who around the hour mark of Ireland Wales on Saturday in Dublin, he could be heard calling the replacement Irish lock, whose name escapes me just temporarily, back on side for a ruck. And in that very moment, triggered Australian rugby fans all over again when, as clear as anything over the mic, he says, "Okay, we play." Immediately invoking memories of Matthew Renal and the now infamous Melbourne Bledisloe of 2022. And so to you, Andrea, I say, boo. It's far too soon for that.
The trauma is dripping out of your voice.
The cheers this week might go to the Rugby Australia accountants, who on Monday, Australian time, solved all of RA's financial issues by officially putting tickets on sale for the 2025 Lions series, of which, hence me wearing this jersey. And let me just say about the prices, they are eye-watering. It is crazy expensive, like $400 plus for gold tickets for the test matches, and I stopped reading at that point. It is just incredible. And with ticket prices that high for 6 tour games and 3 tests, I expect that rugby in this country will be swimming in riches by the end of the week, mate. Or everything is fixed.
We've got to tap into this somehow. You know how we are.
Cheers.
One time a woman told me, Harry, 7 minutes with you is like 10 minutes with another man. And I'm not sure what she meant. I take everything as a compliment, but I think maybe she was insulting me. But Erne Herbst, our lock, was taken off for 10 minutes. And it's one of those situations where you go, you had one job. Presumably there's someone out there who's actually got the ticker. And they're like, ooh, it's 7 minutes. You got 3 minutes to go, guy. Get ready. Maybe there's some assistant coaches in your ear as well. But Herbst comes on with 3 minutes still left on his Sinbening on a very tight game, a 3-point game where the Harlequins and Bath have been going at it. The Johan van Graan and his guys were going crazy to the fourth official. It didn't matter. No one stopped. No one checked. No one just said, we missed it by 30%. And it makes you wonder about this.
He made a fairly important tackle, too.
And then he did a tackle. He joined a ruck. And just, because it was actually noticed at the time, it is weird. Yeah. If no one had noticed, then maybe you go back and say, oh, well, it's your fault, Johan. But I mean, really, he was screaming his lungs out. So that's the jeer is, come on, guys. I think that is one empirical duty you can do.
And you're right. That's like the fourth official, whoever it is, you have one job down there when someone is sitting on the naughty chair. And I can't believe that.
And I thought I was the 7-minute man, but now Erne Herbst is the 7-minute man.
There you go.
Herbst time.
With the cheers to start us this week.
We're probably going to talk about a couple of ugly things in rugby, but let's talk about something beautiful. With a game in the balance at minute 59 and his team behind, Will Skelton used his bulk to protect Salman Murat, the Stormer captain who was knocked out, literally cradled him, kind of formed a bridge right in the middle of play. This is rugby in action. Will Skelton is 6'8" and 150 kilograms, and 50 kilograms of that is heart. Good man.
Yep. What's your jeers, mate? What have you got?
Pretty simple one. Cam Sheppard, hang your head in shame, man. You're a TV man. You're talking to the Chiefs, Imoni Narawa. And poor Imoni is hanging. He actually has to shake his own hand. And
it's so good. It's so
very good, but I'll give him a
very funny. The best part of that is that I saw Cam on Saturday, and he is just owning it. He's just going, "Yep, I did it. I can't get away from it. I'm now a social media meme." And that is that, and he will never bugger that up again on TV. You could be assured of that.
I do have one amazing jeer, and it's about a 9. Camille. I mean, he's a kind of a 10 too. Camille Lopez, who plays for Bayonne,
I've seen
contributed one of the worst tackle attempts one has ever seen on Nakarawa. Now, to be fair, it's not that fun to tackle the man anyway, coming down the tram line, steaming at you. But what he does is a modified, like pole vault, kind of a what's those like pommel horse leapfrog efforts where he literally jumps. And then kind of in a very strange...
Tries to push.
Like a Cirque du Soleil gymnast who's drunk. And he kind of just jumps and kind of pats him.
I saw it described as him making a business decision.
My jeer is related to your cheer. Once upon a time, I was playing gridiron as a foreigner and someone who has a, need, kind of depraved need to be a performer and make everyone laugh. I was entered into a pancake eating contest the night before the game, which was against the Lumberjacks, and it was Axe the Jacks with the Flapjacks. And it was, how many pancakes can you eat in 5 minutes? And you could shove it down your mouth however you wanted, but you had to douse it with syrup. That was your only lubricant to go down. And out of like 50 people eating pancakes, I came second. And it was the final second of that 5-minute period. I saw my competitor swallow, and I was still pouring down the syrup. The pain I felt exceeded the pain of falling off a building, having my tongue ripped out in Pretoria a year ago. Any number. I've broken my nose 3 times. All my fingers have been broken except my thumb.
Yeah,
the pain of coming second in a pancake eating contest is the worst. Jake White, when you've lost at home in the Urk and it's painful, don't go in a press conference and start shooting these ridiculous conspiracy theories about how
referees and away teams.
What is this? Stop it.
Yeah.
Just say, well done, and then sleep on it, come out and say, oh, maybe we missed 40 tackles.
Yeah.
Maybe on our drive to the line at the end, Accra van der Merwe could have peeled off and run over the 9, and they would have scored and won. So stop it, Jake, please.
Just take the L.
Eat your pancakes.
You are leading off.
My cheers will go to the Irish coaches, Andy Flippin Farrell, Paul Bloody O'Connell, Simon Easterby, Mike the Feral Cat, and John the musical scrum coach, because they selected a proper team. They did not do what the French have done, which is take exactly 0 players from their their first selection from 2023. Ireland has only 4 missing. That's Gibson Park injured, Sexton retired, Hansen injured, and Keenan playing for the Olympic 7. So that's a really proper team.
Strong squad.
No excuses made. No caveats. It's just going to be straight up 1 versus 2. Good on you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. My G's for you, mate, is for rugby-free weekends.
It's horrible.
It wasn't completely rugby-free weekend. You watched the top 14 final, and we'll touch on that a little later. But down this part of the world, there wasn't a whole lot doing. I actually watched a Formula 1 sprint race in Austria live on Saturday night. That was
well, you like the Formula 1. You're a Formula 1.
No,
fan,
I do.
right?
I've got right into it. And my cheers for you, mate, is uniform balls across world rugby. I discovered this late in the piece, but New Zealand rugby have finally ditched the Adidas ball after 18 years, I've found out, and they're now using the Gilbert ball in home tests and, in fact, all domestic rugby, the NPC and all that as well, across the board. So it means that Gilbert now supply the top 20 men and men's teams and the top 10 women's teams as well across the board, and I am here for it.
That is so funny. That is so niche.
I give you nothing more than rugby niche in this from this side of the podcast, mate. You know that.
You dig into the details that no one else even observes. I love it.
Exactly.
So is it me for a jeer? Am I jeering?
Jeers. Yep, you're jeering.
My mini jeer would be people who actually seriously contend that club rugby captures the imagination more than what we just went through, because test rugby is next level. You could just tell it with viewership, engagement, everything. And it's like, haunting me was always this words that Daniel Herbert told us, which is we're struggling to make the tests that are not inside these tournaments lucrative and profitable. Man, what a lot to work with, these rivalries. So my jeer is rivalry. It's rivalry issues, which is and I'm speaking now to my South African, my Safa brothers, as well as my Irish friends. Let's not be so sensitive. Rivalries develop best when we really smash each other and we say things. Just like in rugby, everything we do is illegal on the street. Banter is a little bit like that too. Okay, there's some topics to stay away from, Jamane, but I think it's really fun to make fun of each other and do some, biff and baff. And so I'm just extraordinarily overwhelmed by the sensitivity of both sides of this. And I've always thought that South Africa and Ireland are very good at being offended. Like they'll catch you on some minor cultural reference from 1687 that you're not entirely aware of and go, aha, You are the evil ones. And,
Gotcha.
rivalry between All Blacks and Springboks is always good because we know we're the bad guys. And so we play our part, like we know we're the villains, but then it's so fun. But against Ireland, like, who's the villain? Who's the hero? It's a very awkward rivalry. We're not sure who's who yet. And so it's a sparring match.
Yeah.
Hopefully we sort this out before Durban because I want to rip in.
And I'm going to start with a cheers for you for our pod mate, Harry Wilson. And I'm just,
yes,
I said to you on Saturday night in the postmortem that I was really happy for him. And I watched it back again on Sunday, and he had such a good game. And for someone who hadn't played a test for a couple of years, would have had doubts in his mind whether he can still fit at this level. He just had an absolute stormer. And, like, aside from friend of the pod and all that business, it was just so good to see. I was just so happy for him.
I agree. He is an aware bear. He's a bear with a map in his head. I thought there was spatial awareness there that was kind of lacking, that link ability. That time when he took that pass from Fraser McRae on the run, I thought that was, it had the look of it would fizzle out, and he just kept it going with that quick pass back. Really smart.
Yes.
My cheer is very short. It's amazing, a happy day to know that it's so easy to become the greatest player who ever played our sport. All you got to do is come on as a reserve in sevens, dive over the line with acres of space, and you will be declared. And it will not be arguable. And if you do argue, you are a hater. That 50 Cup man who hasn't won the things he really wanted to win at home is now declared. Not only can he be the best 9, I think he's now been said that he would play the best 6, 7, 8 in any position on the field. So,
sure.
Cheers.
Without question, without debate. My G's for you is somewhat Olympic related, and it's somewhat sevens Olympic related. And you know my feeling about names on jerseys at international level.
You are a hater on that one.
I'm not. Sevens, I can understand. I can go for that. At international level, I'm not so sure about it. So imagine my surprise when referees and ARs at the Olympic sevens are sporting their names on the back, and then they were introed like players, even pausing for a group high five before running out. I was like,
with
okay,
walk-up music. Yeah.
All right, we're doing this. So anyway.
Do they, with sevens, will they take out the consonants or the vowels?
No,
vowels?
I think at Olympics, it's the full word.
I was wondering if they took the vowels out of the surnames to make you guess who it was. We spend more of our life awake finding things than any other thing. It turns out more than kissing, dancing, whatever, the things we think we should do in life. We actually try to find things. So I think it's interesting to me when I watch the Olympics, it's easy to find everything. You can find any kind of footage you want. You can share it. And kind of things that aren't that great from the sevens became million-person views. Because why? Because unlike in the World Rugby Cup, the Rugby World Cup, where you couldn't just take a thing, find it, and share it, because you get a strike, you get a letter from the from Sir Bill Beaumont and his crew.
Cease and desist.
You could just share at will. And my jeer is retroactively jeer rugby and saying, why is this little training drill called sevens drawing more attention in one moment than we had in this like magnificent World Cup where we could have all been ripping and shredding and sharing?
More than a few observations were made along those lines, and particularly, the drawing power of the American player whose name has just escaped me at the worst possible moment.
Ilona.
Who has Ilona, yes, and she has a bigger social media following than six of the top 10 countries. That might not be true, but you get my point.
We're not begrudging it. We're just saying, wow, what a missed opportunity that was.
Make the most of it. Exactly right.
Cheers. So everyone knows, Brett, that you probably walk around your house in your Wallaroo underoos and you just say these words as you prance around barefoot. Sasha Feinberg. Ngoma Zulu. And you do that while you do your various household tasks. So this week, our friend Shawnee Maloney had the unenviable task of saying that name a shitload of times. Whatever number of times he thought he was prepared for, it was 17 times more than that, because Sasha's quite the player. He's a gun. And so he and I had a little bit of chatter around how to do this. And I said, make friends with your amigo Gomez. Just make sure you get Senor Gomez in there, and then the and the Ulu just fall in line. Gomez Zulu. Instead of focusing on. But what happened was it was too much in his head, and poor Shawnee. I'm giving him cheers because he like soldiered on. But
yes.
By the fourth or fifth time, he had slowed down to Sasha, and then he was scared. Feinberg? And a question, and then
yes. And do you know who the casualty was in this?
Who?
It was Ben Jason Dixon. Who,
yes.
By the end of the game, was a guy called Ben with a surname Jason Dixon.
He was the innocent bystander. He started calling him Jason Dixon. Like Jason Dixon became a thing.
He did. He had an errant hyphen, is what he had.
Hyphen moved around just like Ben Jason.
No, that's a good call. And we'd laugh at this because Shawnee will be laughing at it himself.
And he is excellent at names pronunciation. But he said to me, this is the hardest name he's ever had to deal with.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sorry, Shawnee, get ready for birth.
My quick cheers for you, mate, is crowds. And tell me this, why does it matter how big the contingent of Springboks fans was in Brisbane on Saturday just gone, or will be in Perth this weekend coming? Australia's a multicultural country these days. They still pay for tickets in Australia, even if they have flown in from overseas. So why is a sellout crowd in Brisbane, laced with green in the stands, still somehow a criticism of Australian rugby? I do not get this.
It's actually what we need. So everyone says that the Six Nations, which has a lot of low quality games and often has three teams that are not very good. You saw how bad Wales is now. Is because you have
Wales are a very good team.
Yeah, sorry. The visiting crowds of Six Nations makes it.
Exactly.
It's wonderful to be in Murrayfield as I was, and you have a giant contingent of English fans, and they're singing and they're shouting. It's wonderful. So I don't know why anyone would begrudge the fact that there's a lot of Saffas living in Australia, and they wanted to go out and have a fun day. Great.
The Argentina game in Sydney that I went to last weekend had a whole, almost like half the back end were all Argentinian fans, and it was fantastic. I don't get the criticism.
Cheers. Okay, my cheers is as the people
that was
filed
the sound
in,
of Harry just thinking of it.
As the people filed in all their colors and hues and doctrines and backgrounds and faith systems and philosophies from Sea Point with the dying light over the Atlantic and the crashing waves, or from the waterfront where they had probably gotten sauced up in a Scottish or Irish or a Swahili bar, I felt this anticipation, this nervousness, not so much about playing the All Blacks, because that hasn't become, that's not as nerve-wracking as it has been in the past. It was, would Cape Town let the country down? Because we've been accused of being a soft place to play, too friendly to the All Blacks, too much contingent support, too vibey, maybe too late to the game. Like, oh my God, the game's tonight, honey, let's go. And too late.
Famously, Crusaders home game once upon a time.
But everyone was there on time, and we gathered, and we were there way early, maybe 2 hours early. And the scenes before the game, marching bands, not 2 marching bands, but 5 drum majorettes. There were people doing Broadway plays. There were men stripping their costumes off to reveal budgie smugglers with the South African flag. There just was no end to the entertainment. Right. And I think that ended up making us feel really good about ourselves, and then the game happened. So the cheers are, what a production, what a game day. People helping disabled people to their seats, broad concourses, places to pee, beer aplenty, no French people in sight, and it was a wonderful day.
Excellent. That's a good cheers. It's a good cheers. I'm going to bring the tone down a bit.
Oh,
I've got to say. I'm going to bring the tone down a bit. And my jeers is to the people who still want to keep singing from the song sheet that involves dropping Sean McMahon into the Wallabies team. And it's come up again over the weekend after the loss. He's one of the most common names that gets dropped in. Sean McMahon, and I'll repeat what I wrote in a Rugby Pass column a couple of weeks ago now. Sean McMahon has not played a League One game for Suntory in Japan since March 2022. That is 2.5 years ago, people. He has been managing chronic injury after chronic injury to the point that Suntory did not even list him in their squad last year. He was so injured, he was not even in their squad, not listed as in their squad. That's how Sam Cane ended up over there. He's back in their squad for this year. He hasn't played a game in 2.5 years.
Mon frere, a question for your Jeer. Are you advancing the novel theory that a person must play rugby in order to be good at playing rugby? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. I'm simply advancing the theory that someone must play rugby in order to be selected to play rugby.
Sean McMahon's a great player, but you're right. He's been doing, he's in Bali most of the time having fun.
His Instagram feed suggests that he is fit and healthy again, but he has not been on a football field for a long, long time. And ask me how I know this, mate. Please, I want you to ask me how I know this.
Oh, why, Sage, do you know this?
Because when I was wondering this a few weeks ago, I literally looked through every Suntory team sheet for the last 2.5 years until I saw his name.
Wow.
Like round
I just went on his Insta and looked at him and his buddy smugglers in Bali and thought he's probably not in Suntory.
There you go. Anyway, that's my G's. People, if you want to select someone from overseas, let them be fit and actually playing.
Fair.
I'm going to jeer today the weird lame-brained attempt by the English to horn in on the success of the Urk, the mighty Urk, and say, couldn't we come to the party? But first, can you kick out the 2 new boys?
Yeah.
And I thought the Irish were really stout and said, nah, we're in the position of strength, and we'd like to tell our former colonial overlords and pillagers, get out.
It was even better than that, wasn't it? It was sort of like, can you come to our party but not bring those 2? Cheers me.
Oh, cheers. Cheers to any.
Remember how we've been starting each episode with cheers and jeers for 34 episodes so far?
Prego, arrivederci, good man. The people in Buckland that think you have to pick who is the starter and who is the... If there's one thing you've learned from Rassi Wood is like, there is no starter, there is no depth chart. It's all just like, what are those things? Depth charges, where they throw them out into the submarines.
Yeah.
If you think you own the jersey in Buckland, I mean, there might be a couple of guys, Peter Stiff, but that's the best. But like in general, so who is the field general? Is it Marty Lubbock? Oh, see, he outplayed Andre Pollard. Listen, man, it's a 1-2 punch. It's a 1-2-3 punch. Everyone in the world would like to have a Sasha, Mani, Andre problem. Australia, hello. Could we have some 10s that, gave us some competition? So my jeer is for the people who think in 1987 terms and think there's got to be an incumbent starter and then a reserve who is only on when you're tired. I mean, it's a 23-man game, which means it's a 28-man game, which means it's a 50-man game. And you've got to find all kinds of depth.
Yeah. No, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. And it's actually me to cheers this week. And my cheers for you is mascot races. The NPC final in Wellington served up just one of the great rugby moments where I think it was a dozen or maybe 14 mascots from all the provinces, NPC teams, Heartland teams lined up. It was a bit of a rogues gallery of mascots. And ultimately it was won by a cleaver wielding gentleman by the name of Barry the Butcher, who's from one of the Heartland provinces, I think. But it had everything. It had trash talking, had illegal taking out, some questionable tackles off the ball. It was just one of the great things of rugby, mate. There should be more of it, honestly.
One of the mascots got a really early start and then finished nowhere.
Yeah.
The other thing is...
The seagull from Auckland absolutely jumped at the start. And
he seagulled.
I reckon finished second last at best.
He did what a seagull would do. And then the winner looked to me like Jamie Wall.
True.
And also he had the advantage of running barefoot, I think. Everyone else had weird, strange
big
shoes.
Oversized feet, exactly.
Most of the mascots, they had to keep their head on because that was a problem for some of them. They were very slow.
There was an illegal tackle at one point and a head did come off. That was great. Jeers, on the other hand, there I was just watching the Dallas-Houston NBA game one morning late last week, and in a completely unexpected throwback to the Rugby World Cup final, who did I suddenly see looking back at me in a shot of the Rockets bench? The hairy man.
I was in the bench.
What were you doing? You were like 2 rows from the bench.
I was inside. I could literally hear Steven Adams talking about every part of his body because he was doing the massage hammer, he was doing the bike, he's every part of his body at this point, about to break down. And fantastic when you were that close to the NBA the athleticism on display is insane. And as a rugby brain, you kept thinking, oh, that guy would be really good as a...
He'd be a good lock. 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 He'd be a good lock.
Yeah, and the point guards, maybe they'd play some, number 9.
Yeah, we'll find them somewhere. This is a pre-cheers, mate, because it's sort of linked to our previous point. And that is just a sincere thank you to everyone who reached out to me on the socials, in the YouTube comments, DMs, messages, however, over the weekend, just to say congratulations to me. It wasn't needed, but it was very, very much appreciated. And so just thank you. Everyone saying, we've seen your suffering for so long. It was good to see you happy. So thank you all for the messages. I do appreciate it. My cheers for you for the weekend is actually Ben Youngs, the now former England halfback, who, of course, last week just flat out disrespected Australia by saying, don't waste my time. But to his credit, was back on For the Love of Rugby on Sunday doing the reaction podcast, and he took his medicine and all the humble pie that he was due up front, and he just copped it. And he went, yep, I got that wrong. And you kind of got to give him that.
That's a good call. And I think I like the way he went about it too. And I would suspect he diffused it just by doing what he did.
I'm going to jeer the hell out of this one.
Okay.
When you name as a body for Coach of the Year, World Rugby, a person that no one actually knows, and you have to say, who.
This is what they did.
Yes. And then it's even not really the code that is the premier shop window code of our sport, or the proper code of our sport. And you have on the other side of that panel several worthy candidates, including a person who was able to take a World Cup winning squad, keep the fire up. Their souls have been emptied to win, and you keep going. You bet in some new talent. You have Afalele Fasi, you have Sasha Ngomazulu, and you still keep your old standards, and you have 3 candidates for the World Player of the Year. And that guy, because of some old grudge or not insufficient propitiation of the gods, is still in the doghouse, then it just seems small-minded. It seems puny, and it seems pathetic.
Yes. We will make mention of the World Player of the Year and the World Rugby Awards, but it was kind of grating, I think, that Rassie Erasmus, for everything that he's done this year, and that includes a Rugby World Cup, is somehow not the Coach of the Year.
Yeah, forgive him. It's okay. It's over now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just look at even if you can't forgive him for what he did in the past, look at his last 12 months.
Yeah.
And then find me a better coaching record than that.
And exposing and inviting rugby into demographics and groups, townships and suburbs and schools that had never before accepted it. And that's a microcosm of what World Rugby says it's trying to do in Uruguay, in Peru, in Chile. So let's think that way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. In Spain, in Germany. We're going to go double cheers.
Yeah, it's not really the time to have cheers. Who wants to cheer?
There's no time for cheers.
Yeah.
It's nearly Christmas. So cheer off.
I cheer the year that was. I saw Scots take the Calcutta Cup. I went to an auction with Nigel Owens. I met a Viking warrior queen. I was a mall whisperer for at least 3 MLR teams, including one in Monterrey, Mexico. I cheer the fact that I was able to insult Bill Beaumont's bodacious bum. And I scrummed Oxenche. I was at Loftus, Ellis Park, Kings Park, and Cape Town. This
is just sounding like a review of all the trips that I didn't make this year.
I went to those 4 hallowed cathedrals of rugby in South Africa without spraining my tongue this time. Let's see. I got to see the Boks battle the best of the rest and come out the best still. Start number 1, end number 1 of the year. Won an appeal in Tanzania. Oh, wait, that was different. Let's see. I got to see my first Bledisloe, and I met you. And,
yes, we did do
that mad night in an HIA booth. So that's sort of symbolic of my year. But no, I want to say my cheers is to you, and that it was a wonderful thing to pod with you. People don't know the behind the scenes stuff, but we have to end up chatting a lot, and awkward times, and
we do.
Everything doesn't always go exactly right.
No.
You've been unfailingly kind, cheerful, and reliable, which is, as they say, competence is sexy. Really important to be there at the right time and have the right shit on. So,
yeah, this is very true. I can imagine both our families are going to be sort of wondering how we're going over this break. You two are right. You haven't spoken to Harry for a few days. Do you need to check in on him? So there will be that. No, that's a good one. That's a good shout. I don't mind that. I'm actually going to continue on that same sort of theme. I'm just going to say thank you so much to all the wonderful, wonderful guests that we've had through the year, and I'm just going to go through them because we've always sort of blown ourselves away with the level of guests that we've been able to get over the last few years. But this year we just we launched a new podcast with the chair of World Rugby, Sir Bill Beaumont. That's just crazy. But they just followed from there. Simon Louis, Charlie Morgan, Matt To'omua, Michael Atkinson, Sam Larner, Ned Hannigan, Riaan Louw, the great Laurie Fisher, Simon Strawn from Gainline, Shawnee Maloney, Lukan Salakai Loto, who's had a fantastic year.
Wow.
Tim Horan showed us his old jersey collection. The great Tony Johnson we had a couple of times. Kevin Foote was so open and honest and raw about everything that was happening with the Melbourne Rebels this year. Harry Wilson, before he was Australian captain, Oxenchae, as you mentioned, Jamie Wall, Andrew Kellaway, Sam Windsor, Daniel Herbert, Gareth Whitaker, who was one of the directors of Chasing the Sun, and we then end up having a great partnership with Gareth and the guys there, which was fantastic through the Rugby Championship, and we say thanks especially to them. TMO Brett Cronin, Paul Cully, Jim Tucker, Jeff Parks, Marcelo Bosch came back. Sumo Stevenson came back. Liam Napier, Jared Wright, James Slipper, Vihan Fundarit, the Rocket Foot, Rob Kitson, Dan McKellar, and just last week, Patrick McCarry, who has turned you into an actor. Is that what you are now?
Hey, for real.
That's a good list. That's a good list.
How do we do that? What's funny is literally people, so we don't pay anyone, by the way. People are appearing on our show because they're nice guys.
It's cost us a few beers here and there, but that's about it.
But it's preposterous, actually. And people want to know how. And we're like, we just go, do you want to be in our pod? We literally just say that, and it becomes easier. I think the first few times it felt awkward. And, obviously requesting so Bill Beaumont felt a little bit awkward, but then he said, sure, let's go. And I'm like, wow, that was easy.
Why didn't we do that 2 years ago? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, yes, Harry, I will appear.
and that is what has been so cool about all this for the last couple of years. We feel like we can sort of get to whoever we want to have a chat with, and that's the joy of this now, is that we're just having
there was that
great
one
rugby
guy.
chats.
There was that one guy that
every
said,
week.
Rrr.
Yeah, there's been a couple of polite declines, which is fine, but I think even in those couple of cases, we've got to them anyway. Eventually,
we need Razor on. I'm telling you.
Yeah, at some point we'll get him. We've still got a hit list. That was a lot of fun, mate. Really enjoyable to go back through all of those great cheers and jeers like that. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I want to cheer us. I think we managed to put together some pretty good presentations and productions, sometimes by the seat of our pants, sometimes by the seat of our underpants, but we got it done.
Yeah, no, we definitely did. We're going to try and put out a couple of these best of pods over the summer break, snippets from some of our favorite guests of the year to come as well, probably almost certainly after Christmas. So make sure you're all following and subscribed so that you don't miss them when they do drop. Please do find and follow the 89 Combo on Twitter, on YouTube, and now on BlueSky as well. Leave us a rating or review wherever you can, and share us as far and as wide as you can as well. Harry and I remain on our socials in our usual places at Harry Baldy Jones and at BMC Sport. But this is the 8-9 combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realize you needed in a rugby podcast. Thanks all once again for your support through 2024. We wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a happy holidays, and all the very, very best for the new year. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones, and we'll be back in your ears next year.
Keep coming to play with us.